go, Zach.
Yeah.
First time banging the gong. First of many.
Zach on the gong.
It felt good.
Kitzman.
Heck yeah, man. And so we got ourselves a special guest today.
Yes.
And
Applause.
yeah, Zach, you said you had something very important to say. I'm just kidding, putting him on the spot. No, but welcome to the agents.
Yeah.
Seriously, round of applause.
I'm excited.
New sales rep, new sales guy,
Really?
and we got the mascot in the office there. A little puppy mascot is going to be hanging out too. But no, we're super excited, Zach. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name's Zach, and I'm super excited to start here. And I got an awesome trainer, Dan. He's gonna be helping me out here, and
Hey, what about me?
there's this one guy. I think his name's Troy.
Yeah.
My son ties. I was like, what about me? What about me?
Yeah. Gosh.
Hey, you
No,
know,
we got your back. The whole team here has got your back.
Yeah.
And I think Dan could dip his beak into that too a little bit. How we are here, but
yeah, no, I will say respectfully, this has been an exciting place to work. I think that's just the best way to put it. In all the highs and lows I've had in my past work experiences, throughout all that I've seen and done, this is a great home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great, when I first met with Troy almost a year and a half ago.
at the Tavern in Blaine.
Absolutely. It was what really drew myself to this was his preaching of culture and his saying that what's most important is not the money, it's not the dollars, it's not even necessarily the processes that you have, as important as and necessarily as they are, but it's getting each other's backs, using technology, having fun, all the core values that we have in the agency that makes us who we are.
Absolutely.
And so be excited from that, I will definitely say. And then also from the Dave Ramsey standpoint, which we'll just touch on a little bit today. But do you have much experience with Dave? You've done some of the FPU stuff or anything?
Yeah. I mean, I looked into Dave, and when I was going through his website and seeing some of his books and his baby steps, I realized that this guy knows what he's talking about, and that we share some of the same interests. And
You're a Christian, right?
Yes.
Believe in God, believe in prayers.
Yep, absolutely. I mean,
Amen.
everything happens for a reason, and he's got a plan. But starting with those baby steps and getting everything on a roll, starting early.
Get that dead snowball going. You're what, 23 years old?
22.
22, my God.
Yeah.
If I could be 22 again.
Yep.
Oh, man,
that's
I'm so
cool.
excited.
That is really, you do have a great opportunity here. And
We could make you a millionaire in 10 years.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
I know. He hesitates. It's like it's not out of the possible. I mean,
not.
it's not completely impossible.
Just
But
do what we say, man.
and whoopsies. Sorry, I got a little camera malfunction. Everybody's so pretty that
Trying to sabotage us, Dan?
No, I'm
sure
sure
the camera's
I
just
want all
on
the
you.
attention on myself. I hate it when other people get attention when I'm in the room. You know what I mean? No, but it really, there's a lot of opportunity here, and like you said, everything happens for a reason. I think Troy and I fully would get behind that concept of stuff, and yeah, Dave makes it tough to argue. And Troy, I think you always kind of say that. He says
Common sense stuff.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
How can you
Basics.
debate saving money and not going into debt? And then paying off your house. How can you debate that?
I know,
That's stupid to pay your house off.
Yeah.
Really?
I
Tell that to Kyle DePizzi coming in Friday.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
You
Really
know?
fun story on Friday too for those that are the loyal listening club is gonna be in for that. But no, and so on Wednesdays we've been peeking at the baby steps, and this week we are on baby step number 6. Zach, do you want to share baby step number 6?
Paying off your home early.
Paying off the home early, and
Yeah.
Dave says 15-year mortgages.
Okay.
And
That's not a hard and fast rule. I mean, he does bend a little bit and say you can get a 30. But
And
he
why?
does recommend.
But why is important? Because the home ownership versus the renting, it can oftentimes, catapult the net worth, the
Oh my God, hundreds of thousands of dollars
right.
potentially difference from the 15 to the 30.
And real estate will appreciate traditionally over time. And so if you can get that asset, again, over enough time, you should at least have something that is an asset, whether it's appreciating or not, as opposed to the apartment renting, which, again, is fine. But if you can get to the home ownership and you can save money, get the debt snowball into position to be the 15-year mortgage, the reason that the home paying off, I think, is so important is because it's oftentimes the biggest bill that most people have.
It is.
And so once you can get rid of that one, your investment opportunities open up big time.
Amen. You got to try to not keep up with the Joneses as well. And when you do buy that new house, buy all the Christmas lights and the new cars and the boats and
the furniture. We got to get new paint. And
every 3 years, new furniture.
Yeah, that's why people get into that trap. And all of a sudden, they haven't touched the principal of their mortgage. They've refied.
Yeah.
And they owe 100% of their mortgage basically after 15, 20, 30 years of them having a mortgage. They use their house as the piggy bank. That's the exact opposite thing to do.
Right. Yep. And that's going back to days live like no one else. You can live like no one else. Keeping up with the Joneses will keep you broke.
No doubt. That's why I'm so excited to talk to Kyle, because they paid off a $350,000 house or $300,000 house. Now what are they going to do with all their money?
Exactly.
It's like they have no debt. How cool is that?
And when you're paying those large bills and those dollars are used to going there, you can make a mistake or two. You can take a chance or two. You can hope on a big break or two if you have enough dollars to play with. Of course, you want to make sure you're setting and sound, but if you have some of that excess to play with, that's where some of that cool, fun stuff can happen. And if you give yourself that opportunity to play in those circles, statistics, it's a numbers game. Eventually it'll hit
the family tree.
Yes, changing your trajectory in life. Did a video on that just the other day, and anybody can. I believe that you can start today and change the trajectory of your life as it stands today, anytime you want to. It's just a matter of being disciplined.
Tony Robbins.
Seriously,
it just takes the decision.
I did not even realize that he had mentioned that, but that is so true. It just can happen in the blink of an eye. But.
Pay off that house, then critical for the baby steps, because after that, it's live like no one else. I think they go hand in hand, because build wealth and give goes hand in hand with once your house is paid off.
Right. What else? So, depending on what your own personal ambition is, you have that big chunk of at least available dollars every month to do something nice with. And even if you want to save it for a year or two and go after the bigger fish or whatever the case is, like I say, you're just back in that position to do so, which is so powerful.
Very powerful thing you just said there, Dan.
Absolutely, man. I like
no
that.
Doubt.
I like that. Zach, when I know you're renting right now. When would you? Are you thinking home ownership? Is that like a 3-year plan, 5-year plan? What is kind of in the?
That's It's funny that you asked. I was gonna say something here in a second. I know a lot of people, most people, will buy their first home in their early 20s or maybe their 30s. Me, I can't speak for everyone, but I know more people in my generation and younger than me aren't looking to buy homes right off the bat.
Sure.
I know some have already a large amount of debt through college, maybe cars or wherever, and don't have the money for a home, but result to renting. And
that's and that's a fair. I like that actually. A, it's honest, and B, I think that is representative actually of trends. In fact, I think, I don't know if we'd actually mentioned that on the podcast, but there was some, at least there was some concern of that I had heard over some different talk shows of the fact that the younger people are not buying the homes, and that there was some concern as far as the national housing market and how that could have skewed the numbers.
Absolutely.
And like you said, the ambition necessarily may not be there the same way it once was to hurry into the home ownership. So financing aside, what do you think is one primary motivation for why you would put that off potentially?
Well, one of them would be for these people that are getting done with their education and moving on, and you could be moving to a different state for new jobs, new opportunities, and with technology nowadays and the rate of how things work. Stuff can change in a snap of fingers. I mean, just like what you're saying, you know, if you want to take on a whole new career or you want to do something different or you got to move and you have a home or, you know, something tying you down, you're not going to be able to make that happen. And so I think that's one big one is having that opportunity to get up and go whenever, or a lot quicker, I should say, than.
I think you just hit the nail on the head, and that might have been something that I may have kind of overlooked, but you're right. You probably have more opportunity.
I mean, that's what Grant Cardone says, and Grant Cardone is a little bit the opposite of Dave Ramsey. He says rent, so you're more mobile, which is fine. I think even Dave Ramsey would agree with that because he wants you to save 20%.
Right.
So that means if you're buying a $300,000 house, that's saving $60,000 cash.
Right.
That's after you have all your debt paid off, and then we're talking school loans, which could be hundreds of thousands. Right?
You know, it's super funny because, you know, if you keep an eye open on what other people say too. I mean, Dave Ramsey, you know, obviously knows what he's talking about, but so does Grant Cardone, and they have two opposite, like, ideas on how to build wealth. Absolutely. Grant talks about raking in that debt and making that money first. And I think that's funny because it's like the opposite of what, you know, Dave's saying. Let's get rid of that debt. And
there's nothing wrong with considering all angles. Absolutely.
As long as you can have a bird's eye view of what's going on.
Exactly.
And make that decision.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
As the punches go.
Yeah, and going back to the millennials renting, as long as you're saving your money, that's smart. That's smart to rent. Save that money because maybe that housing market's going to crash and you'll have $100,000 in the bank and you might even be able to buy a house cash.
And there's something
which
different.
People did 10 years ago.
There's something different in, say, I know you mentioned you have a roommate that you live with. There's something different between the person, no offense to our loyal listeners, but if you're single, living in a $3,000 a month swanky downtown apartment and not owning and putting off some of that
image
for that image and just the party scene, all that
cares.
And you're putting off that. Well, that's different than rooming with some people to keep your cost of living down while you save money to go. I mean, so you know, there is nothing wrong with renting, but you know, it's all about perspective and about how you're doing it. And yeah, there are smart ways, and the same thing with homeownership. There's dumb ways to own home. I mean, you can overbuy and put yourself, house poor and all sorts of stuff too. So it's all about.
Let me tell my story. Shoot, I'm 43 years old and living in a townhome. Well, with the association, it's $700 a month.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
That's a good feeling, and you know, we live by the railroad tracks, and our kids sleep in the same room. And at some point, I got to grow up. But man, I love this feeling.
Well, and Troy, to Troy's credit, you're so disciplined and you're diligent. And when you're disciplined and diligent, I think everyone should check in on Troy in 5 to 10 years, and we'll
no pressure, right?
No pressure.
Well, there's a little pressure. I just
absolutely. There's always pressure.
No, but I would say that confidently with very low pressure.
And I would like to go right back at you and say everybody should look into Dan Bacha. 5 to 10 years, as well as Zach Kitzman.
It may not be a bad start.
We're all going to be in our Bentleys.
Amen. Amen. Because that's what Dave says. First, you get out of debt, then Bentley.
Then
immediately.
buy the Bentleys.
It's debt, then Bentley. That's baby step 8. It's not on the thing there. No, but that's very cool. So that's Zach. You'll see him around for sure. And then Friday we'll have Kyle on to discuss a really cool story. Hope everybody does tune into that.
I can't wait to dive more into that. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is. So cool. Hope everybody has a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.